Hello fellow founders, hello brothers and sisters. What better place to celebrate the first year of the channel than right here next to a real life volcano at Volcanoes National Park on the Big Island of Hawaii, where the spirit of creation is front and center. I consider everyone who watched in 2025 to have been part of the channel's Angel Round. Thank you all for the early support. And as we now head into 2026, we will officially kick off our seed round. Of course, as a nonprofit foundation, we don't actually have funding rounds, but we do have a mission that we take seriously, and while you can take the man out of the startup, you definitely can't take the startup out of the man. So startup style execution is always going to be in everything I do, and it hasn't failed me yet. So if you haven't seen it before and you're curious about the foundation that backs this channel, please check out our website at startupgospel.com to learn more about our full mission and roadmap. Now onto the topic for today's special episode. I thought it would be fun to give an investor-style readout for you all on how we did against our goals in the opening round, what we wish we did better, what we learned in the process, and what we can look forward to in 2026. While I don't need your capital investment, I do need your time and attention to make the channel successful. So thank you for being an early investor. The primary hypothesis of the Angel Round was, can we develop a compelling video product that appeals to startup founders, entrepreneurs, and small business owners that is in line with the foundation's mission? As far as I can tell, we're in a pretty unexplored niche of two domains that rarely intersect, so it definitely wasn't a given that there would be a compelling offering where entrepreneurship and theology meet. Back at the foundation's launch in late July, product R&D was the main objective, and I think we mostly pulled it off. So let's start with some metrics just to ground ourselves, and then I'll cover some of the qualitative goals as well. Now, keep in mind that I'm recording this on Tuesday, December 23rd, so there's still a week left for the metrics to move. I'll annotate anything that moves meaningfully between now and when the video releases. First, we had a goal of 150 subscribers, but ended short at 123. There are still a few days left in the year though, so if you can think of someone who would enjoy the content on this channel, send them a note and let's see if we can get this to 150. We released 17 videos, including this one starting on August 11th, meaning we averaged almost an episode a week in the 19 weeks since. Collectively, our videos got over 3,000 views and 175 watch hours. The best performing videos were number 1, Mental 7-Footers, number 2, Metacognitive Threshold, and number 3, Implying God. Overall, YouTube recommended our videos almost 45,000 times in its browse features, resulting in about a 3% click-through rate. That's actually a lot better than I thought, given the channel's dual nature. You might imagine that the different video types reach different audiences, but it seems either the algorithm has figured that out, or more likely there is positive crossover on the video types, which bodes really well for the foundation's mission. Probably the most encouraging leading indicator is that the Implying God episode was the highest performing on retained viewers, meaning if you watch that video, then you were very likely to come back and watch future videos. All right, time to get out of the rain. Okay, on to the more qualitative stuff. We developed a compelling editorial calendar that sets us up for a strong 2026. I have over 100 episode ideas in the queue, so we might be good into 2027 as well. In fact, I've started writing about future episodes on X as a way to get more cycles on ideas before they become fully fledged episodes, which, by the way, please give us a follow on X at Startup Gospel to help make that a viable distribution channel someday in the future. Next, we didn't quite get to equal numbers of startup and gospel themed episodes. It turns out that the startup themed episodes are much easier for me to make, while the gospel themed episodes require a lot more planning. That makes sense in retrospect, since the startup themed episodes are a natural extension of the presentations I used to give in my company, so my TRM is pretty high on those. Whereas the gospel themed videos are not only novel content wise, but they also require an additional learning curve in terms of video production, which I'm completely new to as of this year. A big insight into production quality was on-location filming. I find that my presentation is much stronger and it's just easier to film compelling scenes if I let the nature in the backdrop do the heavy lifting. Lastly, we did hold several free business mentorship sessions with audience members who discovered the channel, and that was super cool as well. I'll put the offer out again. If you're watching this episode within a couple of weeks of its release date and we haven't met yet, and you have a business problem or challenge you want to run by me, please reach out. I can almost certainly add 5 figures to your bottom line pretty quickly, unless your market truly sucks, in which case I can probably add 5 years to your life just by telling you to get the heck out of there. And there's a small chance something I say unlocks an additional 6 or 7 figures as well. It wouldn't be the first time that's happened. So just a token of my appreciation and my way of saying thanks for the early support. Okay, let's talk about what didn't go as well and what we learned in the process. First and foremost, it's been really hard to thread the needle on establishing credibility while not referring to the company I founded. A couple of reasons for that. First, I still hold a part-time advisory role in my company during my transition period out. Second, while I'm incredibly devoted to my faith, I certainly don't want to make it seem like my old company endorses or even has any view on the religious content on this channel. Startup Gospel and College Mind are completely separate entities formed for completely different missions, so I've also been careful to keep that line out of respect for all involved. It's worth repeating here that the views expressed on this channel are solely my own, and many data points I give here are anonymized or generalized for legal reasons. Overall, this constraint has been particularly hard, especially as I come across examples like the former COO of Hinge being able to grow an audience of tens of thousands overnight without any real production effort, simply by trading on his name and prior employer's reputation. College Mind isn't as much of a household name as Hinge, generally speaking, but for a certain age group when we were at the height of our consumer platform ambitions, we estimate that about half of college-bound students had used College Mind in one way or another, so it would certainly be an instant boost if I can figure out how to incorporate a bit more credibility proofing into my titles and hooks in the future. Ultimately, there are so many headline-grabbing metrics I could put out there as a way to hook the audience, but since my old company is actively growing and playing out a super compelling strategy that requires quite a bit of discretion, I've deemed it best to err on the side of caution for now. Second, production cycle time. So I had initially thought I could pull off 2 videos a week, 1 startup and 1 gospel, but oh boy, was that optimistic. Classic example of a rookie trying to estimate the timelines of complex projects. Now, AI does speed this up a lot, but it still adds up since I'm pretty much doing everything myself at this point. In fact, if you add up the days, that's a week per episode and explains why it's been such a full-time endeavor. The most obvious lever here would be to outsource the editing, but I find that I'm still making a lot of consequential decisions that feed forward into the next episode's design and script each time I sit down in Premiere Pro, so it feels like I have to keep doing the editing until the rate of learning slows down a bit and I can more properly evaluate editor talent when I bring someone in down the road. Lastly, we haven't identified a reliable growth channel, the bane of every early stage startup's existence, so what else is new? Since I'm forging a new niche and possibly even inventing a new genre, there hasn't really been a ready-made distribution channel to plug into, at least that I've identified so far. The pro is that once developed, this channel's audience will represent a unique distribution surface area, but the con is that we'll have to trailblaze and build it layer by layer, which will take more time. So, whereas the angel round was primarily about the product R&D hypothesis, our seed round in 2026 will be to find an inflection point in organic growth. Metrics-wise, you can think of it as trying to crack the code for getting to our first 1,000 loyal subscribers and driving 50,000 views. And in doing so, we will likely have identified the first growth channel that's not just organic word of mouth. That could take the form of producing short-form content on a different platform like X, a partnership with another content creator, appearing on a podcast, and so on and so forth. All right, that's it for this update. I gotta keep it short because, active volcano and all that, and it's been raining all day. But thank you again for investing your time and attention into the channel in its early days. Tell a friend or colleague about the channel when you get a chance because there are great things coming in 2026. Stay watchful, and I'll see you in the next one.